Very interesting and funny scene that not a lot of people actually picked up on. How is Scarlet Overkill still alive in Despicable Me 4 when we know that Minions, the main movie that she's the villain of, was back in the 80s, and even if she had some crazy incredible power of keeping herself alive for this long, why does she look exactly the same as she did in the Minions movie, which dates back 40 years before the events of Despicable Me 4? Because if we zoom into her face, we see that she has not changed at all. The only thing that changes is a little bit of white hair coming out in there, but aside from that, we don't see any other feature that really says to us that Scarlet Overkill has aged with time. So how is this possible? But the main question here is that her husband also didn't age at all. So what happened here? Well, I'm going to be explaining that in today's video. How is Scarlet Overkill still alive? And if she's still alive, why doesn't she show any signs of aging in the scene that we see in Despicable Me 4? Not her, not the husband. So without further ado and wasting much time, let's get right into the explanation of why Scarlet Overkill is back in Despicable Me 4 looking better than ever. Let's go, guys. So as you may know, and if you've watched the previous movies, Scarlet Overkill is actually the open antagonist of the whole Despicable Me franchise, because Minions actually takes place way before the first Despicable Me movie, because it shows us the life that the Minions had prior to meeting their complete boss, Gru. We first see her in the first Minions movie, and she does make an appearance in the second Minions The Rise of Gru movie too, but she really shines as a character in the first Minions movie, which is considered by many one of the best movies of the entire franchise overall. Scarlet Overkill first becomes the supervillain of the Minions movie after she issues a challenge that whomever steals her ruby gets the job to work for her, which the group of Minions win, and that's when she realizes that these guys are an incredible resource, just as Gru does in the future, to become the incredible supervillain that she always wanted to become. This is mainly because Bob accidentally swallows a gem that she wanted to get. So because of this situation, she ends up presenting these guys to her husband, Herb Overkill, which we also see at the end of the Despicable Me 4 movie, but we're gonna get back to this character and his appearance explanation in a little bit after we talk about Overkill. So after presenting the Minions to her husband, she really discusses the plan that she has to take the Queen Elizabeth's crown in order to overthrow her. If the Minions fail in this mission, she is basically gonna eliminate them from the face of the earth. But because they're Minions, and we see this in the movie, she only implies this in a bedtime sweet story. But long story short, during the mission, the news mentioned that Bob has been crowned after pulling Arthur's Pentagon sword from the stone. Because of this, she actually feels betrayed, and she thinks that these guys have switched sides or taken her plan and used it to become the person that she wanted to become in the first place. So Scarlet immediately goes to the Buckingham Palace to try to stop these guys, but she is disturbed by a couple of incidences, and this is how the animosity between the two guys start. But because these guys are Minions, they are unable to understand that these girls is trying to eliminate them. They don't really understand any of this. For them, this is just a game, and Bob is so happily happy about being crowned the Emperor of England. So this is how the character of Scarlet Overkill develops within the Minions movie, and it's an incredible character, and in my opinion, one of the best villains of the entire franchise. After Vector, we see her progression from this sweet girl that tried to really be nice to these guys when it fit for her, but as soon as she felt betrayed, she became the absolute worst for these guys, and she really wanted to eliminate them for sure and wreak havoc within the city and overthrow Queen Elizabeth, in the movie of Minions, of course. Now, after a while, the Minions understand what's going on and they try to stop her. This incredible animosity between these two guys creates one of the best scenes of the entire movie, and arguably of the entire franchise, where Kevin turns into a giant and really just makes the whole movie a complete feast to watch, to be honest. But in the end, believe it or not, because we are always used to the fact that these guys are always gonna lose, but they are unable to stop Scarlet Overkill from taking Elizabeth's crown. In the ending scene, as we see, Scarlet is able to get it and runs away with it with her husband, but then an amazing character that we have never seen before comes in and freezes them with an incredible weapon, takes the crown, and leaves. This guy right here is young Gru, yes. Now, this is how the movie ends, and we see that Scarlet Overkill is not defeated in a way that she is eliminated, as we see with other villains. She is not eliminated in any sort of way. She just has to wait until the ice melts and she can leave. So what happened after this? Why do we see that Scarlet Overkill and her husband are back for Despicable Me 4 when they were not eliminated in the Minions movie? Okay, so let's analyze this situation and explain it in complete depth, guys. First of all, you have to understand that the Minions movie is actually not set in the 80s as many people think. It's set in the 60s, yes, specifically in 1968 as per the creators say. Now, knowing this fact, it's pretty much impossible that Scarlet Overkill would look look like this in Despicable Me 4 because, as we know, the events of the Despicable Me movies are set in the 2000s. So Scarlet Overkill being in the 30s in the 60s, she should be in the hundreds in the year 2000. So it doesn't make any sense that she looks like this and a little bit of white hair is just showing there. No, she should be a lot older. So the main thing that we have to look at here is the situation where these guys are found in. At the end of the Minions movie, we see that Scarlet Overkill is frozen by young Gru. This doesn't eliminate her per se because it allows her to escape. So we can theorize that Scarlet Overkill actually escaped this situation right after the ending of the movie. We really don't know what happened after this because we see a little cameo of her in the Minions The Rise of Gru where there is a scene where Seward is shown having a Scarlet Overkill lunchbox during the training montage as a reference. But she's not there physically, it's just a cameo in another completely different way as a lunchbox image. And then the next time we ever even see of her is in Despicable Me 4, right in this scene where she's with the AVL prisoners. Now, does this make any sense? Yes, it would make sense in one single instance. We can actually theorize that Scarlet Overkill escaped a situation right here with her husband, and knowing the incredible ability that she has to invent things and create new things that really furthers her interest as a villain, we can theorize that she created an advanced mechanism or machine that really rejuvenates everything that she has going in her life. In other words, a rejuvenation machine that she can go into all the time and rejuvenate herself. And also, this theory not being only mine, but a lot of Despicable Me fans, because Scarlet Overkill is the first and original villain of the entire franchise, because even Vector at this point was not even born, many people, and I include myself in this, think that Scarlet Overkill is the incredible ingenious mind behind all the villains that try to fight Gru, because she was so close to getting her crown, and it was young Gru the one who actually stopped her from doing this. She had the crown on her hands after all the things that she had to go through, and all of a sudden this young guy comes in, freezes her, takes the crown, and leaves. Because of this, she had to feel incredible resentment towards the child, and she digged up a little bit in his past, and about who he is, and about his whereabouts. So knowing more about him, because we know that Scarlet Overkill and her husband are rich, and they have the resources to know all of this information, especially in the 60s, because in the 60s, if you had money, you pretty much had everything. So we can actually theorize that this girl saw Gru and started following every step that he did, and instead of taking a direct approach and attacking him personally, she didn't want to get caught again because she was close to going to prison because of what she did in that situation with the Queen Elizabeth's crown. So she didn't want to get into trouble again, and she idealized another completely different plan that, if it was the case, it's a completely ingenious one. She would go to people that have her own interests and want to become the best villains and pit them against Gru, who also wanted to become the best villain in, of course, the first Despicable Me movie. So Scarlet Overkill was behind Vector. Scarlet Overkill was behind the Macho and Brat. So yes, Scarlet Overkill was the complete brain behind all of these decisions on all of these villains that try to make Gru's life a complete adventure. But how is she in jail though? We can theorize that she had just gone through the rejuvenation machine, but at that point, Gru realized that Scarlet Overkill was behind all of these guys, most probably after Despicable Me 3. And after arresting her, we can see that she has the same face, because at that point, she had just rejuvenated herself with the machine along with her husband. And that's why we see Scarlet Overkill and her husband being completely alive and well and looking amazing in Despicable Me 4.